Welcome to the show. I'm your man, Steve Harvey. This is the Hard Mode Podcast. On our left, we got the Dan family. On our right, we got the me family. I'm Tim. Can I get Dan? Can I get Tim? Let's get... I don't know what he says after that. We got two families competing for $20,000.
We love you, Steve.
We love you, Steve. All right. Hi, welcome to the Hard Mode Gaming Podcast.
Where we talk about video games.
We talk about video games, and we're stupid. The first games that we're going to talk about today are the games that we've both played over the past week, because there are two that we both played.
For once.
The first being Hades, which you are more experienced with than I, but I did put more time into it this week, and I unlocked some new stuff, and I like it a lot, and it's really good. You beat Hades for the first time.
I escaped and made it out into into Greece.
I have beat the first boss lady a couple times. Meg, her, yes. And that is as far as I've made it. I basically beat her, and then I clear like a couple more rooms.
In like the Asphodel, the fiery...
Where it's all fiery, and then I die. That's pretty much every run now.
Asphodel, the first couple times, is really hard because...
It's new stuff. And
there's new enemies, there's lots of enemies with armor, and then the lava plays a factor, and they throw like fireballs in spots and stuff. And then, the next area gets it just gets harder.
The first few times I beat Meg, I literally would get to like the first or second room and just die. But the last couple times I've been beating her consistently now, and I've been getting at least like further into it before I die.
Yeah.
Usually I'm dying because like I'm slowly losing health through those rooms, and then I get to like a mini boss and I have 1 health left, and then I just die.
It's tough. It's tough in the beginning because you don't really have good ways of recovering health. Mm-hmm. So you're just like, once you take damage, you're just kind of hosed.
Yeah.
So you gotta like get your
find
second
the boat master or whatever his name.
Yeah.
Boatman.
Yeah.
Boatman. The Boatman. The Batman. The Batman.
But
Spider-Man.
Once you can get like your second chances and your the little trinkets that give you bonuses.
Dude, I love trinkets. Trinkets are great.
The trinkets help a lot, and then you gotta upgrade your mirror and get all those upgraded because you can upgrade your max health.
I'm guessing the mirror just keeps getting new stuff as you play, because I'm on like the second round of.
So yeah,
stuff.
you need like
what's her name? Nyx. She just gave me like the upgraded mirror, so I have like the next round of upgrades.
Yeah, so now you need like 20 keys, 30 keys.
Yeah.
And then, once you get a certain amount of those unlocked, you get, like, a different one that, like, mirrors kind of what you already have. So, like, the first one, I think, is it increases your attack damage from behind on an enemy. And then, if you switch it, it makes it so any enemy that you attack that hasn't taken damage yet gets, like, an extra, like, 100% damage. And then you can keep increasing that. And you can, like, switch between those depending on your playstyle.
Yeah, I like that game.
But, yeah, so you can upgrade stuff with the mirror. You can get all the different weapons. Then you can upgrade the weapons. Then you can get all the trinkets. And then you can upgrade your relationships with everybody with those gold, like, little things.
Those little honey pot things or whatever.
And if you, the first time
it's a good idea.
Yeah. So you give one of those to anyone that you encounter, like literally anybody, even like the gods that give you like their little boons that upgrade you, and they
like
give
Poseidon.
And then they give you a trinket, and then if you like fully upgrade your relationship with them, then you get like better stuff.
That's very cool. I don't know. Would you say that Hades has set a new bar for roguelikes, and roguelikes going forward need to involve some sort of constant progression and more, I don't want to say that other roguelikes haven't had constant progression, because they have, but more in the way of like developing character relationships and furthering the story and having it continue to make sense as you replay constantly.
Well, considering I made a YouTube video called Hades Raises the Bar for Roguelike, so yeah, I think think I agree.
YouTube plug.
Yes.
Red Talk E4.
Hades, out of all the games I've played this year, is the most consistently good from beginning to end.
Like, it's fun the whole time, and then instead of, like, most games, if you got really far on a run and died and had to start over, you would be deeply depressed. But in Hades, you, like, have enough purple shards or keys or whatever to, like, upgrade something, and you get a new weapon or a new ability or a new whatever, and you're like, dude, I gotta go use this. Like, I gotta go fight again.
You can also build stuff with, like, those little gems. You've gotten those, right?
Yeah.
And then also, I don't know if you've gotten the fishing rod yet.
No, I have not.
Well, there's a fishing rod, and you can...
Go fishing?
Yeah, you can fish.
Yeah!
And you turn in the fish to the cook that's in, like, the lounge area, and then he gives you stuff.
Is that the little cowboys in Glitter Gulch Mine and Banjo-Tooie?
Yeehaw! Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! They, like, pop out of the ground.
Yeah.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, and they start attacking you.
They, like, right when they have that, like, trigger when they notice you and start running at you, so they're like scanning the room, and then they get to you and they go, yeehaw! And then they just run right at you. Dude, so good.
Yes. So Hades is outrageously good. The music, the gameplay, the art.
Everyone also thinks all the characters are good looking.
Yeah.
Which is true, but also they're all Greek gods, so like they're kind of supposed to be like the picture of perfection, so it makes sense.
It makes sense. And yeah, all the voice actors are great. And the dude, you know the guy with the like really deep voice, I think his name's Liam Cunningham or something. He did the narrator for Bastion with like the...
Isn't Liam Cunningham Davos?
Oh, maybe that's not his name. I don't know. His name's Liam something, I think.
I'm pretty sure that's the actor that played Sir Davos in Game of Thrones.
Here, let me look it up. But
I could be wrong, though.
Either way, the guy who did like the voice of the narrator in Bastion does the voice of like Hades and the boatman guy that goes and he also does the voice of the Minotaur, which is something you haven't encountered yet.
Man, dude, spoils, bro.
Spoiler alert.
Spoils, bro. Spoils.
I just saw the Hades Twitter tweet about that dude being a super cool voice actor, and now I can't find it.
Okay.
But, yeah, that guy's awesome.
Whoever that guy's voice is, I remember his voice is incredible in Bastion the whole time. He's the one that, like, talks to you and tells you the story.
And, yeah, he's also the narrator in Hades, like, when you find those little,
he's like, and then you went to the market and
went
all the way home.
When you find those little, like, glints in the environment and you press RB and he, like, talks, that's him.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah. I really want to find this guy's name. I know this is...
Alright, so we both like Hades a lot.
Hades is
It's very good.
Game.
You should play it. And also it doesn't cost that much money and it has a ton of replayability, so it's very much worth it.
And once you do escape, it unlocks even more stuff and modifiers for difficulty and stuff. So like
the more whether you're losing or winning, you're unlocking new stuff and the game is changing and you're improving yourself and getting better, and it becomes a little easier with each run to kind of make it further and further. Even though the difficulty raises a little bit, would you say it gets harder when you finish it? When you escape?
Yeah, well, also the further you get, the more it throws new things at you, like new enemies. It adds, like...
So it's constantly getting harder as you're getting better.
So, yeah, so right now you're starting to get comfortable with that first area. You can beat Meg and stuff. And then once you beat that second area, Asphodel, the first area is going to start having new gods that give you abilities. It's going to start throwing new enemies at you. It's going to start throwing new mid-bosses at you. So, yeah,
I like that.
It's constantly changing. I can't believe I can't find this guy.
Alright, let's talk about the other game that we both played, because I have a feeling we're going to circle back to Hades during our later planned discussion in the episode. So the other game that both of us played was the Black Ops Cold War beta, which went free to play for everyone on Friday the 16th for PC. So we both had played.
Or was it Saturday?
Friday afternoon, right?
His name is Liam Cunningham.
Logan
Cunningham.
So close, almost had it. Got the L
right there.
You got the L in the last
Logan.
name. All right, Logan Cunningham.
Well, shout out to that dude. He's the man. Okay.
Anyway, any hoodles. So we both played the PS4 the PS4 Alpha previously because we do own a PS4, but we don't primarily play shooters on the PS4. We usually play on PC, but the Alpha wasn't on PC.
And back in the day, we played on Xbox.
Yes, and the beta was then released for pre-orders. We did not pre-order the game, so we had to wait for the open beta to come out on PC, which is when we started playing it. So basically, we have, like, at this point, like, a day to have played it, essentially.
We put some time into it, though.
We put some time into it, though. We did get some game time. So there's a bunch of different game modes in the beta, including regular multiplayer, that dirty bomb thing, and then that big game mode. So there was a big game mode that's like
big team battle.
Yeah, it's just like a ton of players, but it's basically just domination and stuff, except there's a lot of people. But that dirty bomb mode was kind of a mixture. It's like a Battlefield type game type where you have to like deliver whatever it's called, uranium to like these little things, and then you blow up the bombs, and you're in squads of 4, kind of like Warzone, and you're playing against like everybody, and you have armor, and you can get armor plates. For some reason, there's no ammo or weapon pickups. I don't really understand that. We literally basically had to kill ourselves at one point to get our guns and ammo back because we couldn't find anything.
The one match, I ended up getting like 7 melee kills because I just didn't have ammo for the longest time.
So we were like at one point running around on this giant snowy mountain punching people in the face because we couldn't find any ammo. We didn't know what to do. But I was just sniping people the whole time. That game type was actually really fun.
Because it's basically Warzone.
Yeah, it's basically Warzone, except you're just respawning and like going for objectives instead of like trying to be the last team standing. But I feel like if they really polish that and kind of everybody figures out what they're doing, because I feel like for the most part, most of the people in that game mode didn't know what was going on. And
they just started killing each
everyone
other.
was just shooting. Yeah, we were all just killing each other. We didn't really know what we were supposed to be doing. But once everybody kind of figures it out, I feel like that could be a really cool game mode.
Yeah, I had fun with that. Obviously, it's not polished to the point where it's like this amazing game mode that's going to blow people's tits off.
We were saying we have a strong feeling that this beta is like a few month old build, and the game release in November is going to be a lot better.
Yeah, I think this is probably the alpha was probably early this year, and then the beta's probably like summer,
a few months ago. Yeah.
So
it does definitely feel better than the alpha, but
yeah.
Then again, I played the alpha on PS4, and I'm running the beta on PC in like silky smooth 140 frames, so I don't know how much of that is that and how much of it is actual game improvements, but
yeah,
here we are.
So they have made some changes to like the gameplay as compared to Modern Warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm blanking. What were we talking about?
So, a few good things are good things in our opinion is you basically can't drop shot.
Oh yeah.
So in pretty much every Call of Duty ever, everyone knows what drop shotting is. You're in a fight, you're spraying someone with a gun or even sniping, and mid-fight to throw the other person off, you lay down and you continue shooting. So in the Cold War beta, you take one hand and put it on the ground as you go down to lay down prone, and then you use the same hand to push yourself up. And while your hand is being used, you cannot shoot and you cannot ADS.
No, you can shoot, but
you can't ADS. So it's way harder to aim, basically.
You're basically blind firing while like crawling on the ground.
So you can drop shot, but I guess you just have to be very close to get that spray.
Yeah.
Because it's not very accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's a lot harder to drop shot. Like, significantly harder. Which we think is a good thing, because drop shotting is kind of stupid, but some people like it. I get it. It's fine.
Yeah. I think it's an improvement, because drop shotting is, like... it's stupid as hell.
There's just such inconsistencies with Call of Duty games where they try and make things realistic, and then there's stuff like that just makes it insanely unrealistic, and it makes no sense.
Yeah, and also I feel like when people are jumping or laying down, they have issues with like hit detection and stuff like that. So like you can still be shooting the guy while he's laying down, but you're not necessarily getting credit for that.
I don't know if it's like latency or just the hit reg or what it is, but there's always been something with Call of Duty where if they're going through an animation of jumping, laying down, climbing, whatever, not all the time, but sometimes bullets just straight up won't affect them for like that second that it takes to do that animation.
It really feels like in Modern Warfare with jumping, when people just like hop up and down
you
really fast.
You can be getting hit markers the whole time, but they just won't die because sometimes the animation literally just like throws off the hit reg, and then it's just
makes no sense.
I don't know. It's really weird. Another thing on the same kind of thought process as the lack of ability to drop shot was there's the one map you can play on in the big mode is on a boat, and you can swim in the water, and you can shoot people underwater, you can come up from underwater and shoot people, etc. But what I did figure out was if you go underwater with a sniper and you come up, your scope is soaked with water and you can't see anything for like a few seconds.
Which is neato.
Which isn't a huge deal, but you know that if there's a map with water on it and people can go underwater where they can't be seen, there's going to be some pro quickscoper and he's going to go underwater and then he's going to pop up and just blast you in the face and go back under, but they can't do that, which I think is pretty cool. And it again, with the realism, it's obviously more realistic to not be able to do that.
I think I've had more fun with the beta in multiplayer than I did with Modern Warfare multiplayer. The time to kill being a little... It's not like outrageously longer, but it's long enough where it's not
you have a chance to win a fight.
Yeah, it's not like if you get shot in the back, you're dead instantly most of the time, which Modern Warfare...
That was a major problem with Modern Warfare, is on top of the fact that it had things like mounting and heartbeat sensors that promoted camping. When someone was camping, if they see you first, you are dead 100% of the time. You have absolutely no chance, unless they're like terrible. Like if it's a good player versus a good player, the first person who sees the other player wins the fight, and we're 100% of the time.
We're not talking about Warzone.
No, this is strictly multiplayer. Regular old multiplayer. The time to kill was so low that if it's evenly matched players, the first person to see the other one wins the fight 100% of the time, because all you gotta do is hit them with a few shots and they're dead. It's basically instant kill with any gun in the game.
I think this game, the maps are better so far. The cartel map,
100%.
The cartel map with the bushes and that like wide open area.
That one's rough.
That map is alright, but I still think it's better than most of the Modern Warfare maps.
I agree. Pretty much every Modern Warfare map that wasn't from a previous game is hot garbage, in my opinion. I didn't like any of them.
I still think Shoot House is an okay map. That was added after the fact.
I do think Shoot House is better than the other ones, but I don't think it's good.
But like Piccadilly is atrociously bad.
St. Petrograd or whatever is trash.
Yeah.
The big map with the plane, I don't know what it's called.
Most of the original maps
I don't know the names of any of the
with
maps.
the game were like, they just have too many lanes and too many corners to promote camping. They're not traditional 3-lane Call of Duty maps. And
there's no like flow.
Yeah, there's no flow. There's no central point of combat. There's no focus to where the combat's taking place. It's literally all over the place.
The maps literally feel like they create these like assets for the game, and then somebody just plops them in random spots.
Yeah, they're
like it just doesn't make sense.
There's a few of the maps where they're just miserable experiences to play on. And
a lot of them are designed specifically like that's why a lot of people I think don't like the multiplayer for Modern Warfare, is because it's so camper friendly. Like, every single map has some building in the back with a window that's high up and hard to get to. There's only, like, one path up. They can sit in the window. They know where you are the whole time. They spray out the window. Then they lay down. You can only get up one flight of stairs or something stupid, and they can just peek down it and kill you.
Yeah, and that's the same issue that they had with Warzone early on, is that buildings only had
one
one
point of
good
entry. Yeah. And then the zip lines in Warzone obviously helped a lot with that.
Yeah.
Didn't fix all of it, but it is way better.
So it's good to have multiple points of entry, but it's also not good to have, like,
An insane amount
too many.
Yeah.
And that's another problem the game has, that it's either one entry point
Or 12.
or there's so many that it's like, I don't know, their maps are consistently made to promote just, like, setting up shop and holding corners, and that's it.
It's very frustrating for people
not,
who want to run around and just shoot.
It's not a traditional Call of Duty multiplayer experience, I don't think. It's meant to be a little more slow.
I've been playing Call of Duty since Call of Duty 2, and in every single Call of Duty game that I've played, I literally respawn and sprint around the map looking for people to kill. That's all I do the whole time. And obviously there's a lot of people that don't do that. They just like to like hide behind a wall or in a building and get their KD up. But the ability for me to run around and just shoot people with an SMG or whatever was so much harder because you're always getting shot in the back and killed by a camper, and the low time to kill helped with that. Like, it helped those people to always be able to consistently kill me. And it just turned me off of the multiplayer really fast.
And I think in Cold War, the maps are designed well enough. You can see kind of, like, I don't know what the maps are called, if I'm being honest, but the one with, like, the Russian theme, and there's the stairs and escalators going down.
Yeah, I also forget what that's called, but that one, I did like that map.
That one's a little more, it's not exactly linear, but it has, like, a more linear feel to
it has a center and two side lanes with various entry points.
And there's, like, windows that face
There's
each
cover
other
everywhere. There's always a way to, like, penetrate a certain spot that a person's sitting.
It's not strictly linear, but the layout in general
it flows much better.
Yes. So the maps in the Cold War beta are, I think, like, levels ahead of Modern Warfare. I think the time to kill being just that little bit more makes the game feel better.
After Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2, Treyarch has pretty consistently had better maps. Like, since that point. Like, I think Infinity Ward's map design, like, was last good with, like, Modern Warfare 2.
Well, that's because the guys who made Modern Warfare
now work
2,
for Respawn.
Yeah, made Titanfall.
Yeah.
and like, the developers who made the original Modern Warfare games are essentially gone from Infinity Ward.
Right. They're making good games like
Apex and
Titanfall. Yeah.
And I'm sure some of them worked on Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah. Which also has very good level design.
Yeah, so, like, Treyarch, I think, at this point, is the more consistently good map design studio out of the Call of Duty devs, and I also think that this game nails down Call of Duty as, like, the series as a whole. This game nails down what Call of Duty should feel like compared to Modern Warfare. Not saying that Modern Warfare is bad.
I think Modern Warfare did a lot of good things.
Yeah.
I think the gunplay in Modern Warfare was great.
Mm-hmm.
I think the gun sounds in Modern Warfare was great. I think they felt very real. It felt good to shoot. I like
the campaign was insane.
Yeah, I like the movement in Modern Warfare. I like, even, like, I know slide canceling isn't, like, an intentional thing because it's an animation cancel, but that, like, the ability, some people can't do it, like, the ability to do that kind of gave us a like movement advantage that required at least a little bit of skill. And then I don't know, they did do a lot of good things. I think the weapon balancing could use work. I don't know. Obviously, there's stuff that's wrong with it, but there's a lot of good things about it, too.
Yeah, the campaign for Modern Warfare was actually nuts.
I never finished it, but I did like what I played.
The safe house mission is...
The one with the night vision goggles?
where you're just clearing rooms.
Yeah.
And you go in the house and like you open the door and it's a person and you don't know if they're bad or good.
Yeah.
Like that.
You just like walk in and have to
mission,
shoot someone, and then the one like the little woman like pulls a gun out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You think she's friendly, and then she like rips.
She's
a
like,
pistol
no,
out.
no, and she walks back and
tries
then
to shoot
reaches
you.
behind her.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
That mission is legit. Like, there's Titanfall 2, there's Doom Eternal. That mission is like up there with those in terms of like design.
Yeah,
one of the things with a lot of shooters is that, like, think about your Halos, your Battlefields, all that stuff. The scale of the world, like buildings, vehicles, everything, is a little bit bigger than it would be in real life. In that mission, they intentionally made it like feel very grounded and real, and like everything is tighter because
it shrunk
it's
it down. You were in one building, entering these rooms instead of in these wide open like plane hangars and like whatever bunkers and open fields, like crap like that. You were just. It was like you were in like an apartment building or like a house.
And everything down to like the size of a doorway was like meant to feel as tight and claustrophobic as possible.
It's crazy how that happens.
That mission was really well done.
Good.
And the campaign overall is strong.
But the Cold War beta, we got way off topic, but the Cold War beta, I already feel like the weapons are better balanced than Modern Warfare. I felt like every gun I used was at least manageable.
Yeah, like in Modern Warfare, there's a bunch of weapons where you're like, this is the worst thing I've ever shot.
You can pick a gun in Modern Warfare, and unless you're playing like actual robots, you will never get a kill. Like, they're that bad. Like, they're completely useless. But Cold War really seems like pretty much any of the guns, as long as you're decent, you can make it work.
I honestly think the main issue with Modern Warfare is the ARs, because they're so inconsistent. I think the SMGs are more balanced than...
Other than the MP5.
The MP5's just like blatantly
See, that's the kind of thing though, like in Modern Warfare, like when you're playing Warzone, if you pick any SMG other than MP5, and you get inside a building and you get in a fight with someone else, and they have an MP5, they can, if you start shooting them first, and then they start shooting you, they will still win, because the MP5 is just miles better than all the other SMGs.
It really is.
And that just, I don't think that should be a thing, but that's just me.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think the MP5 needs a nerf. I almost think that the other SMGs need a buff. Because I don't think the MP5's overpowered. I think all the other ones are far underpowered.
Yeah. The Uzi's weak.
The Uzi's way too weak. The P90 is weak and has far more recoil than the MP5. The AUG feels like it doesn't do anything, and it has like more recoil than the LMGs, which I don't even understand. There's like the Bruin and the RPK or whatever, RPM, I don't know what it's called.
Have like no recoil.
They have no recoil whatsoever. And they shoot like 4 billion rounds. Your hand would be on fire from like shooting that gun. And there's just no recoil whatsoever. I don't know.
So yeah, Call of Duty.
Anyway. Black Ops, Cold
War.
Beta.
Has a lot of good changes. Also, the...
few things we didn't like as well.
No. What was that one thing that we noticed that we said was really good, and Jake was like, oh yeah, what the hell was that?
I don't remember what you're talking about. But I'm just going to say a few things that I like less, that I didn't like about the beta so far. One was obviously that everyone has been talking about is the movement, so like the sliding, which for some reason the animation for sliding is like your guy's knee, like right at the knees, your legs just get chopped in half and you just slide along the ground. It looks like you like go into the floor and then slide and then come back up, and it's like lightning fast. Like, it's so freaking fast. Like, you're faster than sprinting with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just slide cancel around the map, and you're like a snake just slithering across the whole thing. It's insane. It's weird. I think they already nerfed it from the alpha to the beta, supposedly.
They need to change it again.
And I think they're probably going to tweak it again before the game comes out.
We noticed that the armor animation and the parachuting animation is identical to Warzone, but doesn't feel as good.
It feels like you're not doing anything.
Yeah, there's no feedback to actually performing the action.
Right.
Like, you're armoring and using the same animation, but, like, your character is just doing it, and, like, your head movement doesn't change. There's a sound, like, a very slight sound effect.
Light sound, yeah.
That, like, does it... Like, I think the Modern Warfare sound effect for armoring is actually really good.
It's pretty good, yeah. It's like satisfying.
And then parachuting, same exact thing. Like, it really doesn't feel right for whatever reason, which we're assuming is attributed to the fact that it's a beta. And
which, again, we did those armoring and parachuting animations in the Dirty Bomb game mode, which is not Warzone, which we've also learned that basically... So right now, Black Ops Cold War has the banner for Warzone on the main menu. You click it, it takes you completely out of the application and opens up Modern Warfare. So basically, Warzone is just going to be a Black Ops Cold War map in Modern Warfare's Warzone that already exists. So,
and they're just going to put Cold War weapons.
Exactly. So our thought was the reason that those shielding and parachuting animations aren't that good is because they don't need them, because they already exist on the Modern Warfare engine, which is what Warzone's going to be in, so Treyarch doesn't care about that. Which makes sense if that's how they're doing Warzone. How they do it. Yeah.
Who knows at this point?
Like, why would they? I don't know. But, yeah.
There are a couple of minor things, like, the stuff we mentioned, there's minor things that are just, like, better than Modern Warfare.
There's definitely improvements and there's bad things. At the end of the day, it's another Call of Duty game. We've been playing it for, what, I don't know, 17 years or something, and none of them are that much different. One other positive thing is if you're a PC player, Call of Duty has always been a console game, and the devs have never really put any work into optimizing it for PC, and they didn't really care. This game feels good on PC, in my opinion.
Yes.
Much better than Modern Warfare.
It's a little smoothed out. I can alt-tab out of the game without my whole computer
shutting down. Like, we have pretty nice PCs, and if you alt-tab and do something else in Modern Warfare, you're basically frozen for 5 minutes because Modern Warfare destroys your computer.
Yeah, it's rough.
But Cold War is completely fine. It's like I'm playing any other game that is, like, optimized. Which I think is a lot of that is attributed to the fact that the CDL is going to be played on PC this year, which I don't really understand why it already wasn't, because why are the best people in the world playing in like less than 60 frames on PlayStation 4? I don't know. But they obviously had to optimize the game for PC because professional at the highest level it's going to be played on PC. So that's good for PC players. I guess we can move on from Call of Duty now.
I just want to say overall, I think Cold War, from what I played, I enjoy more than Modern Warfare's multiplayer. And it's only beta. I think also the sound kind of blows in the beta, but...
Again, a lot could be improved. Because we're assuming this is an old build. If this is a few-month-old build, we can pretty much assume that they have an additional, like, 4 to 6 months before the game actually released from when this build was created.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, it'll be better at
I'm sure a lot of stuff will be better. We don't know what. We're stupid. We don't really know that much. But it'll be better. I'm sure. Moving on from Call of Duty. We'll go next to what D-Hard played this week that I did not play. Starting with...
Dead Space 2.
Dead Space 2. Which I have not played since Dead Space 2 came out. Whenever that was.
Right. So I played Dead Space 1 last week or the week before, and I talked about that a little bit. How it 100% holds up. It's real good. Dead Space 2 basically steps up...
If you like horror survival games...
Dead Space.
Dead Space games. 1 and 2.
So Dead Space 2 steps up the visuals, the smoothness of the gameplay... the set pieces that take place.
This is also your first time playing it on PC, right?
This is my first time playing it on PC.
You played Xbox before.
And my first time playing it since 2011 when it came out. So, Dead Space 2 is freaking really good. Like, it's really good. Dead Space 1 is more of that, like, slower, introducing you to the world, horror, like, there's no cutscenes. You're constantly in control. there's a few set pieces where like that giant arm thing comes out and grabs you and drags you. You have to shoot the thing on its arm.
Yes, sir.
But Dead Space 2 has a ton of set pieces, like where you get blown out on an airlock and then you're flying through space and trying to like dodge obstacles. And then there's a part that is literally something that I'm positive Naughty Dog ripped from them, where the rope picks you up and hangs you upside down and you have to shoot stuff while you're hanging upside down until you drop. Like that part, that happened and I was like, no way, like this is way before
that's like,
Last of Us.
That's an Uncharted too, isn't it? Or no?
Oh. That's not something in Uncharted. You haven't even played Uncharted, have you?
I played the first 2.
That is a travesty.
I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna lie. 4.
I should probably play the other ones.
4 and
I don't know why I haven't, because I absolutely love The Last of Us 1 and 2. I really liked Uncharted 1 and 2.
Honestly, 1...
I don't know why I haven't played the other ones.
If we're talking about Uncharted 1 is the weakest. That's not to say it's bad. It's just
you did tell me that when I played it. And 2 is supposed to be the best,
and
right?
And 2 is, like, for the most part, people's favorites. But I think 4 is just because it's the newest and the most polished gameplay-wise.
It's just unbelievably good.
And visually, it's just absurdly good looking.
Speaking
just
of that,
like The Last of Us Part 2.
Speaking of that, I saw Donkey tweeted out his not joking games of the generation, and Uncharted 4 was one of them.
Yeah, I would put Uncharted 4 up there on my games of the generation.
I highly respect Donkey's opinion, so if he says a game is that good...
You should just start cranking through Uncharted, because...
I know. I have a lot of games I need to play.
They're quick, they're really fun, and like they're really fun also if you just put it on easy and just plow through it.
Cause isn't like the other ones?
It's just an action-adventure game, and it's great.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dead Space 2.
You see how we got there?
So it steps up the speed a little bit, the set pieces, the visuals, the smoothness of the gameplay. It adds the ability, like, you can stomp on dead enemies and get ammo and stuff. Which I think in the first game you could stomp on dead enemies, but I don't think it spit ammo every time. But in this game it does.
Yeah.
You can clearly see where Dead Space 2, it adds like little mini cutscenes, which I'm personally not a huge fan of. Like, I would prefer to be like the first game.
In control all the time.
I prefer it to be like the first game where you're always in control. Like, it'll take you out of control for a little bit. But
I feel like that's a good thing to have in like survival horror type games. You're constantly in control, because that way you're like constantly feeling like immersed and something can happen to you.
Well, another thing that I noticed playing Dead Space 1 and 2 is that, you know, in The Last of Us Part 2, where you go into that apartment building and you go over to the workbench and then you get attacked from behind.
Yes.
That can happen in Dead Space. Like, you can go to a workbench or the shop. It doesn't...
And a monster can come up behind you?
It doesn't freeze the action. Like, you can get attacked while you're in the shop and he's just like, oh! And, like, it's thrown back.
Man, I gotta play Last of Us Part 2 again.
I was like, this is something that most games would not have, and Dead Space did it, like, over a decade ago, which is insane. And then there was a section of Dead Space 2 that...
Who are the developers of Dead Space again?
Visceral.
And
like we said before, they were working on Star Wars 1313, and then it got shut down.
We did talk about this. Okay.
There's another section of Dead Space 2 where you're in this little, like, mall type area. Like, it's almost like a shopping mall.
Yeah.
And there's a row of stores, and it is identical to the section of BioShock where you're going to see the artist guy. What's his name? Sander Cohen. Mm-hmm. What is it called? What is that area called? Fort Frolic?
Fort Frolic.
There's a section that is so similar to Fort
Frolic.
Man,
now I want to play BioShock.
That I was actually like, I cannot believe, like, how good the design of this whole thing is.
Sander Cohen's great.
I definitely think...
Great character.
I definitely think the level design in Dead Space 2, it gets a little more complicated and confusing than the first one. So my only, like, negatives, if I had to have any, were the little mini cutscenes are completely unnecessary, and they could have just done the same thing as the first game, where you are just always in control. And then the level design tries to branch out a little bit, but ends up being a little more confusing, and areas kind of look samey at times. Even though it's a lot different than the first game because the spaceship is just one big thing that you're on the whole entire time. I also really like that the chapters seamlessly flow into one another rather than you get on the little train and then it drives you to the next area and the chapter starts.
Right.
I like that a lot more. But Dead Space 2 overall as an experience is better than the first one. It's a little more action heavy, like I said, with the set pieces and stuff.
It holds up in 2020.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Both Dead Space games, masterpiece.
Masterpiece.
So, yeah, if you want to play, since it's October, you want to play some horror games, Dead Space 1 and 2, really good games. Really
GG's,
good games.
Good games.
I love those games.
All right, let's move on
And they're not that long, either. They're only, like, 8-ish hours, which is... I mean, for me, that's a good length.
Compared to like a 20-hour, 30-hour, or unlimited hour game.
Yeah.
It's not that long.
It's something you can start and know you can finish.
And they're cheap because they're old, obviously.
Yeah, you can... They had a sale recently where you could pull the trigger for like $5 on Steam. So...
Alright. And you talked about wanting to play this game last week, I believe, but you hadn't played it yet, and now you have. It is Ikenfell, which was the game that you compared to Earthbound, I think?
Yeah, it has that vibe. So it's an indie game that is a little top-down RPG with turn-based combat. It's,
like Earthbound.
Yes. It's basically this girl goes to look for her sister because she hasn't talked to her family recently, and her sister attends a school called Ikenfell where they teach kids who have the ability to use magic how to use their magic, so it's basically like Hogwarts or something. Well, her sister apparently got into trouble, and she sets out to go try and find her, and once she arrives at the school, she realizes that all of a sudden she can use magic too. So it has that like Earthbound Undertale feeling with like characters to talk to, and it's relatively linear. You can fight enemies and level up. You can get gear to kit your character.
That's pretty nice.
And then there's the combat, which basically puts you on a little grid, almost like you're playing Fire Emblem or something.
Okay.
And when it's your turn, it gives you spaces where you can move. So you move to the space where you want to go.
So there's like movement strategy and turn-based combat, and
right.
I'm guessing you have to be semi-close to enemies to
but
them.
some attacks have like AoE effects, or it can
more
be
range or whatever.
more range, so you can like strategically place units so they don't get attacked on your next turn. But you can,
I like that.
But it also, so once you move your character into place and then you decide you want to attack, it also has like Paper Mario or like Mario and Luigi RPG mechanics where like if you press the button at the right timing,
Boop A.
Right.
Boop A.
If you press the button
keep talking.
If you press the button at the right time, you can do more damage, or you can block damage or dodge it entirely, which is
it's good stuff.
If your turn-based combat,
it makes it less boring.
If your turn-based combat doesn't have something interesting to it, then I'm not gonna like it.
Your options are either Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga turn-based combat or Pokemon. Those are my only two that I like. So
overall, like I have like 2 hours into it so far. I like the characters. I like the combat. The combat's really fun, and there's a lot of strategy to it. And then you literally, to save, like you go talk to a cat and pet it, and it says you pet the cat and it made you happy, and it heals you, and then it lets you save and stuff. So like
we love a good game where you pet animals.
Yeah, so all the characters seem pretty good so far. The music is woo pretty good. Pretty good. So I'm enjoying it so far, but like I said, I haven't gotten really far into it, so I don't know.
Okay.
I can't speak to it for...
Completely.
Right.
Okay. Sounds good.
But so far, I recommend it. It's like $20.
Can't go wrong with a $20 game, baby.
And if you want like a little Earthbound, Undertale kind of RPG with more interesting and experimental combat.
And it's like a fresh take on it.
Yeah, and also the soundtrack slaps.
Soundtrack slaps. That's what we like to hear around here. And the final game that D-Hard has played that I have not is once again Final Fantasy VII.
I beat it!
Talk about it quickly because I feel like this is like the fourth time we talk about this.
I know. So, overall, I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to talk about it again towards the end of the podcast.
You'll see why in a couple minutes. We're up to like 45 minutes, so we'll get to that stuff quick.
Yeah, so overall it's a good experience. It is way too long. The side quests kind of stink. There's a few things that like shouldn't even exist. There's literally 3 times in the game where a character says, "There's no turning back now. This is the end." And you're like, "Okay." And then the action like ramps up to a high. You're fighting all this crazy stuff. The music intensifies, the combat gets really hard, and then all of a sudden, it's just not the end of the game, and you keep going for like 10 hours.
Dude, those are... I don't like when that happens in games.
If you do play the game, I highly recommend do grind some levels and fight some enemies and do some side quests, but I will warn you that the side quests will make you want to die. They're not... They're not interesting mechanically. They're not interesting narratively. And they're also the way that it wants you to like find where to do the side quests. It like gives you a marker, but the marker takes you to like the quest giver. So like you have no idea where to go to perform the tasks that the quest giver wants you to do. So that sucks.
That's weird.
Overall, I really like the game. Like, the combat's great. The ability to play as a bunch of different characters is awesome. All the voice acting is good. The story, I really enjoyed. It was very confusing for me personally. Like, Sephiroth just kind of, like, shows up and... I don't friggin' know. But, yeah, so I have my gripes with it, but overall I think it was good. And I've never played Final Fantasy VII before, so it was a good entry point, I guess. And yeah, Tifa's an absolute angel crafted by God.
Alright, we like to hear that as well. There was only one game that I played that you didn't. Well, I put Warzone down, but
we talked about Warzone.
He played it, and we've already talked about Warzone a bunch. All I'll say about Warzone is I've been streaming it on my twitch.tv/mitsofting, MITSOFTING. I'm like pretty good. I play either like solo trios or quads, or I've been playing a lot with my friend. Shout out to Frankie S215 on Twitch. We play usually trios together, me and him. We've been dropping bombs. We get high kill games. We go for kills, not wins, but we win sometimes too. But we like to get kills. Anyway, moving on from that, the game that I actually played that he didn't was Among Us. So we played that game the other night. I think we only had 9 people. I don't think we ever had 10. And obviously everyone plays Among Us now. It's got like 60 million players or some crap. So everybody kind of knows what it is. I feel like I don't know how people are playing that game every day. I get it, and I like watching like when like Courage or Ninja or somebody get like a group of 10 people like that. If you're like a fan of a bunch of them and they're all in a lobby together and they're all like yelling at each other or whatever, it can be entertaining to watch. But like just playing it, I really don't know how people can play it so much. I mean, I guess that goes for a lot of games. Like everybody likes different games, but I don't know. I've played it a few times. I probably have less than 5 hours into it total, and I would be okay with not playing it again. Like
I still have yet to play it, and I don't really understand why it's... Like, I mean, I understand why it's so popular.
It's fun, and there's like that element of trying to get away with like lying to your friends and killing your friends. Right. So I think that's what brings a lot of people back. But like, there was like at one point I'll play for 2 hours and I won't get imposter once. So my entire like gameplay is just me walking around like completing mundane tasks, and I do not enjoy it. Like, I really don't. Like, I understand that it's got to be like random who gets imposter so no one knows, but like I am just so bored of like doing tasks and crap. Like, I really don't want to do that. It's not fun.
I think that's the same issue I had with Phasmophobia, that it's fun to go into a haunted house with your friends and like get scared and joke around, but in the meantime you're just doing the dumbest bullshit that doesn't
matter at all.
Yeah, it's not fun.
I think
that's not interesting.
I think that's why I liked Unfortunate Spacemen so much, is because it's like Among Us in that there's one person who's a shapeshifter that tries to murder you, but that game, instead of like stopping every 3 minutes for someone to go emergency meeting or dead body reported, and then you talk, it's just the monster tries to murder you, you see him, he runs away, transforms into another spaceman, and then he comes back and he's hanging out with you and you don't even realize it until he murders someone else, and you're all trying to shoot him the whole time. So I felt like I was always like in action and scared, and it didn't stop as much and stuff like that. So it kind of like kept me in it. It was like, it's like horror. Unfortunate Spacemen is like horror. Like you literally are fearing for your life the whole time. Where in Among Us, I feel like you're like, oh darn, he got me again, and then like somebody reports the body, and they're like, I think Carl did it, and then you just like argue for 5 minutes,
and then the imposter blames somebody.
Like, I get why people like it, but I just don't like it that much. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's a fine game.
And it also depends a lot on people.
It depends on who you're playing with. Yeah.
And playing honestly, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've already experienced people, like, just
cheating
and saying who did it to other people while they're dead and, like, stuff like that. That, like, killed it for me one time, is, like, I was the imposter. After, like, I didn't get imposter for, like, 2 hours, and I get it, and I'm like, I am popping off right now. Like, I killed, like, 4 people. I'm, like, on a roll. And somebody that was dead told one of the alive people who it was. Like, outside the game, and I was just like, I don't even want to play.
Yeah, I would have just quit right
like,
there.
It's not, even fun if that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. It relies on people's honesty, and I don't trust anybody.
Right. If you play with randoms, it's basically impossible to, like, trust anyone. And having 10 friends to play with is also impossible. Like, I don't even have, like, 3 friends. I'm supposed to have, like, 10? That's insane. Yeah, and I also personally do not think the game is good unless you have 10 people.
Yeah, you need to have.
If you play with fewer people, it's so easy for the imposter to cut through everyone, or for everyone to be together and just see who killed them. You know, you can't, like, I don't know. You need a full lobby, and it's a lot.
There's a lot of stipulations.
A lot of the game, too much of the game relies on people.
Yeah,
doing things correctly in order for it to be fun. And you can also play it certain ways. Like, technically, you could go into a game and get, I don't know, 8 people to just walk around the map together. And the imposter can literally never kill anyone. Because if they do it, everyone knows who it is. And then the whole game is over. So if you, like, go online and play with randoms and people decide to do that, there's nothing you can do. You literally can't win.
I guess the thing there is that you would run out of time to do the tasks or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess
I've never played the game still.
I don't know. Anyway, let's move on from that. We're up to 53 minutes, so let's get to our last thing. So, we saw earlier on Twitter that the Game Awards, Twitter, shout out to Jeff Keighley, the greatest man on earth, they put on Twitter that if you were in charge of picking the Game of the Year, what would your top 5 games of the year be? So we both kind of thought about it, and we decided what our top 5 games of the year are. So far, yeah. But the Game Awards is coming up, so technically the cutoff is, like, pretty soon. So we're both going to go through them real quick.
And these are games that came out this year.
Yes. I'm going to go through them in order. I don't know if you are.
I don't have an order.
Okay, he doesn't have an order, so he's just going to name 5 games. I have an order, so I'm going to name them in order, starting with 5. So, my number 5 is Animal Crossing New Horizons. I put a lot of hours into it.
We both played it.
We both played it a lot. It's Animal Crossing. At the end of the day, we knew what we were getting into, but they did so much with this game. There's so much to it. There's people that are still playing it. It's just pure fun. It's just Nintendo at its best. Like, they take their winning formula and they just build on it, make it better. And there's just so much to love about that game. I literally probably have 100 hours into the game just fishing because I just want to catch all the fish in the game. And the progression, the rewards, like going into my friends' islands and like stealing their stuff, or like
turnips.
Yeah, like I went onto my one friend's island, and when that Easter event happened and you couldn't get rid of all the eggs on your island, I took a bunch of eggs to my friend's island and I buried them on his island, so just to piss him off. Like, that's hilarious. So that game, just having that stuff in it, and it's just a good game. Everybody knows what Animal Crossing is.
It's chill. It's relaxing.
You could just chill out and play it. It's a good game. That's why it's my number 5. That's enough of that. I'm going to cut through these pretty quick. My number 4 is Hades. I don't have like 100 hours into Hades yet, but I have enough time and enough time watching it. I have enough time played and enough time watched to know what it is, how it works, and it's a very good game. There's not really anything, I don't really have criticisms of it, which is very rare of any game. The art style is cool, which Supergiant never really misses there. Same with music, same with voice acting. They don't really miss with any of those things. The gameplay is very fun. It's very rewarding. There's tons of replayability. I'm very big on roguelikes right now. I was playing Bullets Per Minute. We used to play Isaac a lot.
A lot.
It's just a great genre because of the replayability and the progression systems and that kind of thing. So Hades is really, really, really good. I really like it. It's really fun. I'm going to keep playing it. That's my number 4. Now, my number 3 technically came out in 2019, but it came out after the Game Awards, or after the Game Awards cutoff, so it didn't count for last year. So technically, it is eligible to win awards this year at the Game Awards. I don't think that it will, purely because of recency bias. I think most people involved in making the awards or whatever will know that it's eligible, but they won't vote for it because of recency bias, and all fans probably forgot that this game is even eligible. So I don't think it's going to win anything because of that. If it was in the running last year, I think it would have won something, because I didn't think that the games were as strong last year.
Yeah, the top games last year were Sekiro and Control.
Mm-hmm.
While both being good, were not, like, if another game like The Last of Us Part 2, Doom Eternal, Hades, like, there's a laundry list of games within the last few years that came out that would have beat those. Them.
And this is one of them, I think. I still haven't said the name of it. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is the game I'm talking about. I think last year, honestly, in my opinion, I played Control. I did not play Sekiro. In my opinion, if Jedi Fallen Order was an option last year, it would have been Game of the Year for me.
For you, yeah.
Personally.
It would have been up there for me. Like, for my Game of the Year last year, it would have... I think it was the Game of the Year for me.
I think... I didn't play... Again, I didn't play Sekiro, so I can't really judge that. I know it's like a Dark Souls-y samurai game, which I'm not huge on to begin with, which is why I haven't played it. But... I played Control, which I love Control as well, but I do think my top 2 would have been Jedi Fallen Order Control. Mm-hmm. So that's where I am with that. I put this number 3, including this year, because I do think it was that good. It deserves some credit, and it wasn't eligible last year. I hope it wins something. I don't know what. But the level design in it, it made you feel like you're a real Jedi. There was platforming, the use of the Force, there was a progression system, there was a good story, there was good acting, there was a ton of good about it.
Fun combat, Metroidvania.
Respawn doesn't miss, flat out. Just finding collectibles, like hanging out with your BD, what's his name, BD?
BD1.
BD1. Hanging out with him the whole time, like, it was just good. It was a really good game. I love Jedi Fallen Order. I think I beat it twice, if I remember correctly. I beat it twice. It was a very good game. So good. Love it. Great game. Deserves credit. That's my number 3. My number 2 is quite obvious. It's Doom Eternal. I mean, there's nothing really bad about it. Metal plays while I move very quickly and shoot demons in the face and run through hell. I didn't hear anything bad in that sentence. The design is good. The music's good. Blowing people's faces off is good. It's fun the whole time. You constantly feel like you're getting rewarded and getting better. It gets harder and harder. You blast things. There's replayability. What are those rooms called? The challenge rooms? Guardian, Slayer Gates. Those were like insane and really fun. There's really nothing bad to say about Doom Eternal. Is one of the best, if not the best, FPS campaigns in probably 10 years.
Yeah, it's Doom Eternal, and Titanfall 2 in the last decade.
Yes,
and
I agree.
Not close.
And I personally think it's Doom Eternal, Titanfall 2, Doom in that order. I don't know if you agree. For best FPS campaigns in the last 10 years. Doom Eternal, Titanfall 2, Doom. In my opinion. Would you put Titanfall 2 first?
It's close.
Titanfall 2 is really good.
Titanfall 2 is out of control.
Now, when I say like that, regular Doom is third, and Titanfall 2 is second.
He's talking about Doom 2016.
Yeah. I'm not saying that those are not good. I'm saying like I think all three of them are 10 out of 10s, and I just enjoyed Eternal the most. I don't know.
Doom Eternal's so good.
It's a very good game. Like we both said, Doom 2016, right? Mm-hmm. Doom 2016. We were like, this game is insane. Like it's mind-blowingly good. It's so good. And then we played Doom Eternal, and we were like, Doom 2016 wasn't even that good. Like Doom Eternal is so much better. Like it's unbelievable.
That's pretty much how I felt.
It's insane. It's so good. And my personal game of the year number 1 is The Last of Us Part 2. Obviously, there's tons of people that don't like it. That's fine. I think the way it looks, the acting, the music, the physics, the level design, the puzzles, the combat, the way you could... it just follows Suni Legend on Twitter and watches Last of Us 2 videos. That's all I have to say about how good the combat is. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is better than a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. It's all absolutely phenomenal, like insanely good. Most of that stuff is probably the best a video game has ever been, arguably.
Yeah.
Then when I get to the story, it took the first game story that was one of my favorite stories ever told in video games, and it basically didn't do what everyone wanted it to do. It made me feel things. It made me hate this woman, Abby, more than anything. Like, I literally texted him as I was first playing the game, and I was like, I want to kill her. I have a video saved on my PlayStation 4 of when it first gives me control of Abby. I literally jump off a cliff and kill myself because I wanted to kill her so bad. I was so pissed at her. But by the end of the game, I understood that they made me play as Abby because it showed me why she was doing what she did. It made me realize maybe Joel and Ellie are the heroes in my eyes because I've spent so much time with them, but other people always have a reason for what they're doing. They saw them, Abby and her people saw Joel and Ellie as literally the worst human beings on Earth, even though because of what just happened to Joel, I am seeing Abby as the worst person on Earth. It made me see that from different perspectives. It makes you think about it in real life, how everybody always has stuff going on. You don't know what's happening with them. Like regardless of what they do, they could be going through their own crap, and you could see it's just it blows my mind. It's so good. It's unbelievably good. There are minor things with the story that I disliked. I wasn't the biggest fan of the fact that after everything at the end, spoilers if you haven't beat Last of Us 2, turn this off here, and then pick it back up in like 25 seconds because I'll be done in a second. One of the things I wasn't the biggest fan of was after everything at the end, Ellie didn't kill Abby, even though I understand and also kind of like that she didn't kill her. I don't know how to explain it. So I like that she didn't kill her because she had gone through so much at that point that she grew past the hate, basically, of wanting to kill Abby, and she understood, so she didn't do it. But at the same time, I still kind of just wanted to kill her because you go through so much and then you don't do it, and then I don't know. But Last of Us Part 2 is one of the best games I've ever played in my life, and it always will be, and I don't care what anyone says about it.
Suck it.
And it's my game of the year. And I think it's going to win Game of the Year, Game Awards, and if it doesn't, it should be Doom Eternal. His turn.
Alright, so I'll try and go through these...
Sorry that took too long.
Pretty quick. So Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'll start... I can honestly say Final Fantasy VII Remake and Ghost of Tsushima are in my top 5. They are on the lower end of my top 5 compared to the other 3 games. Final Fantasy VII, I've already talked about it on multiple podcasts. Overall, great experience, like an 8 out of 10. There's filler content. The side quests aren't that great. The game drags way too long. But overall, like, I really enjoyed it when I did not expect to enjoy it at all. Like, I went into it thinking, I am going to hate this. And then I played it, and I was like, this is actually kind of dope. Like, the combat was really fun. There's a ton of variety of enemies. There's a ton of different ways to fight enemies, and you can play as, like, 6 different characters. The story is interesting and kept me engaged. I overall enjoyed the game. I really like that it wasn't just another open world freaking RPG. I liked that for the most part it's linear, but there's some freedom to exploring it. So yeah, also the music, holy boobies, woo! Music is really good, and it's like all just remastered versions of the original songs, so obviously people already know that the soundtrack for that game is really good. Ghost of Tsushima is my next one. This game's another solid 8 out of 10. I love the fact that the game just encourages you to kill everybody and do it honorably, so don't play stealthy. I prefer it to the games that are like, well, you should sneak in. It's not good to just kill people, or like encourage you not to kill people. No. Ghost of Tsushima says, look the guy in the eyes and cut his head off. And it encourages you to do that.
Also, I just want to say that I did not, like, leave Ghost of Tsushima out of my top 5 because I dislike it. I have only played it for, like, 2 hours. So I didn't feel like I played it enough to include it. Continue.
Okay, the combat is great because you have different stances. So each stance, performs better against a certain weapon. So like a bigger enemy, you should use one stance, and then a guy using a sword, you use this stance, and then a guy using a spear, you use this stance. And once you gain all the stances and gain your abilities, and you fluidly move between stances and kill enemies, it feels incredible. The standoffs feel great. My complaints about that game are the climbing is janky and poop and, like, unnecessary, and, like, I've already climbed in every other AAA game in the past 20 years. Like, there's so much climbing and it's all boring.
I love climbing.
It's so boring. I talk about that in my upcoming video.
I feel like that's Assassin's Creed's fault.
It is Assassin's Creed fault.
It is.
That and Uncharted 1. So
yeah,
the whole thing.
Facts.
Overall, highly recommend the game. They're like minor stuff, but like the combat, it feels so good to just cut through enemies and be this guy that, and like the enemies, it's a game that's similar to Doom where the enemies are afraid of you, which not a lot of games are like that. You're always supposed to be afraid of the enemies. Halo does it, Doom does it, Ghost of Tsushima does it, baby. When enemies are afraid of you, it just gives you that empowering feeling like, I am going to rock their world and there's nothing they can do about it.
He also has a video on his YouTube about how Ghost of Tsushima made open world games better.
Yeah, I like the game. It's not perfect, but it is really good and I recommend it. So again, this list isn't in order for these next 3. Hades, he can't decide, that's why. Yeah, we've already talked a ton about Hades. It is consistently incredible. You can go through the game, the whole entire game, you can do a playthrough in like 20 minutes if you're fast enough, but you will not be able to do that from the beginning. Everything in the game is a super tight experience. It's rewarding, it's engaging, the combat is a blast. it wants you to just keep playing and coming back for more. Just because it takes you 20 minutes to beat a playthrough, you're probably not going to even do it in your first 10 attempts. And even when you beat it, the story continues. It adds more content. It adds more difficulty. It adds so much. It's a great game. It's honestly a 10 out of 10. Like, there's no way it's not in any... Like, anyone should be able to see it's a 10 out of 10. It's so good. And plus, you can play it on Switch. You can play it on, like, on the go. It's insane. Like, you could just play Hades, and it's great.
Any game is instantly better if it's on Switch.
It's a fact. Next up, for me... Since we've already gone over, like, a couple of these games extensively.
Just cut through these ones quick.
Yeah, so Doom Eternal.
So we'll just say right now that the three we have in common in the top 5 are Hades, Doom Eternal, The Last of Us Part 2.
Yes. So my top 2 for sure, or my top 3 for sure, are Hades, Doom Eternal, Last of Us Part 2. Doom Eternal takes what makes Doom good and makes it so fast-paced. Like Ghost of Tsushima, where you have to learn the stances and learn what works best against what. Doom Eternal is similar in that effect, where you're constantly switching what weapon you need to use, you're constantly moving. Standing still is the worst thing you can do in Doom Eternal. Just non-stop chaos and murder and rip and tear. The soundtrack rules, the guns rule. People complained about the platforming. I have absolutely no complaints about the platforming.
I never felt like it was bad.
I really don't get the complaints about it. The Marauders are fun to fight. They don't slow down the pacing whatsoever because they're very intense fights.
As long as you're not trash.
Even when you learn to fight them and get good at it, it still feels fun to fight them. People who don't like the Marauders, I really don't even understand their logic with that. And I've seen people write entire articles about how the Marauder is a bad enemy and all this stuff, and it's counter to all the other enemies in the game. But
we're here to tell you you're wrong.
You're like they're a well-designed enemy. They're fun to fight. They're hard at first, but once you learn how to fight them, they can be a little bit easier, but even still...
Dude, I think my first Marauder fight took me 20 minutes, and then by the end of the game, I was getting in a room with 3 of them and clearing each of them in like 3 minutes.
Even if you don't like them, they don't muddle the experience whatsoever. Doom Eternal is another 10 out of 10 game. I've beaten it like 5 times. It's incredibly fun, and like it's just a non-stop shooter, blow things up, kill fest. I love that they make you think about every tool that they give you. The flamethrower, the chainsaw, all the guns. You're constantly moving, you're constantly reacting to what enemy you're facing. It's incredible. It's so much fun. I can't wait for the DLC that comes out next month or at the end of this month. And then finally, The Last of Us Part 2. Like my brother said, visually... with the audio, the visuals, the animations,
mechanically, the puzzles,
the shooting, all that stuff is top notch. It's untouched. It's unparalleled. The story, overall, I think it's good. It has its issues, like everybody says. Some people hate the fact that certain things take place. Seriously, like, it frustrates me so much when people, like, send people death threats and stuff over the fact...
It's insane, dude.
That they just told this story.
It's completely insane.
It doesn't ruin the first game at all. It does turn Ellie into sort of a villain. I hope that if they do another Last of Us game, that it has nothing to do...
Which, arguably, the end of the first game turned Joel into a villain.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make sense to get mad about it in the second game, because
Right.
it was already, the path was started there.
Right. Yeah, people think that because you controlled Joel in the first game that he was a perfect person, but he's a flawed character that did really terrible things and maybe deserved what he got. Like,
Makes you think.
I mean, I do like Joel.
It's almost like the game was made to make us think.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I also think that the game was incredibly long, and there are some things that, like, opening a drawer with the same animation every time that takes, like, an extra 8 seconds to perform. Little stuff like that. But overall, the experience is really good. I've beaten it 3 times already. It's another 10 out of 10 experience for me. I know a lot of people don't exactly agree with that, and people are, like, angry and, like, murderous over it, which is, like, just why?
If you waste your breath on, like, sending death threats to someone who acted in the game, or even the people who designed the game, you gotta, like, just sit down and just figure out your life, because there's clearly something else going on there, because it's not that big of a deal.
There has never, like, the only thing I can think of that is similar to that is, like, Star Wars, with people losing their mind over it.
Which, like, we know firsthand. Like, I don't like any, I mean, there's things I like about all the Star Wars, but other than the original trilogy, everything else is fairly bad. And I would never in a million years, like, try to wish death threats on someone. Like, that's completely bonkers.
There are people who, like, are vehemently saying, like, The Last of Us Part 2 should absolutely not be anywhere near the Game Awards, and anyone who thinks so is a total moron and stuff. It's like, you, first of all, are just angry about something with the story and not necessarily the actual content of the game.
Yeah, when people say, like, the combat or, like, anything with the game design overall is the part that's not good, I'm like, you're just straight up lying because you don't like the story. Right. Like, there's no way you can say that's bad with a straight face.
Yeah, you can say there is an argument to be made that the pacing is a little off because it's so long and you switch perspectives midway through and stuff like that. But you cannot argue that the game is not polished to such an extent to there's not another game that touches it on that level.
It's so good.
There are enough.
It's a shame people can't just enjoy stuff without getting mad.
Yeah, and people take it just way too seriously, man. Just enjoy the game. It's a good game. The story is interesting. It's not perfect, like I said.
It's meant to be fun and entertaining. It's not meant to ruin your life.
Right, it's meant to give you an emotional journey, and the combat's fun. The stealth is pretty good. Like, just take it easy. Like, it's not that big of a deal if you don't like it, but don't get so mad that you, like, want to kill people. Like, it's that's not worth it. And The Last of Us Part 2, Doom Eternal, and Hades for me are 10 out of 10 games for this year.
I agree.
There's definitely potential for, like, there's games that we haven't played. Like, I really want to play Crash 4. Obviously Cyberpunk is still coming out. Who the hell knows what Nintendo is going to pull out of their hats by the end of the year.
Yep.
Paper Mario is an edge case for me for top 5. I think it's good, but the combat really
was rough.
Like we were talking about with Ikenfell, if you don't have good turn-based combat, then I'm out.
Right.
So yeah, there's other games still yet to come out. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Cold War's full release.
Dude, there hasn't been a good game release in a very long time, and now there's going to be like 10 in like a few months. Yeah, it's insane. It's about to get wild.
We still haven't played Star Wars Squadrons, Crash 4, Cyberpunk, the Tony Hawk remakes we haven't touched.
I don't really have interest.
Like, there's a ton of games that we haven't played, so obviously these lists are like what we played, what we like, and excluding games that
we do play a lot of games.
Haven't come out
It's not like we've only played a few games.
Like this year, I've beaten so many games that it's kind of nuts. I beat the first 4 Resident Evil games, the 2 Dead Space games, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and that's just on stream.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So,
yeah, I played a lot as well. Alright,
so, on my stream, I'm going to be playing more horror games this month. Next is Resident Evil 7, and then I'm thinking maybe Fear. because I've never played Fear.
Resident Evil 7's so good.
Resident Evil 7. I've already done the first 4 games on stream, and I have a couple of the streams saved. I want to do 5 eventually. I'm doing 7 because it's October. I'm going to do a couple more horror games into November, and I'm working on a YouTube video. I'm working on YouTube videos all the time. I'm working on a level for Blocktober using the Proteus game engine. So far, it's pretty good, I think, personally. And then this week, we're going to be playing some more games. Who knows what we'll be playing. But I'm going to continue playing the Mario collection on Switch. I just a little bit replayed the Ratchet & Clank PS4 game today, which is good.
Game is good.
It's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna be playing a bunch of games, but the only game I'm probably gonna stream is Warzone. But I'll be playing Hades. I might try and fire up something
Uncharted.
else. Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure something
Uncharted.
out. I'll play something else.
He's gonna play Uncharted.
But I'm gonna play Hades. I might play Uncharted. I might try Ghost of Tsushima again. I'm not sure. We'll see where it goes.
Uncharted.
Anyway, so we went way over time this week. So this is gonna be episode 5 of the Hard Mode Gaming Podcast.
5, maybe?
I'm pretty sure it's episode 5.
I think it's 5.
Yeah, it's 5. So that's going to be it for us. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe to our channels. Please like the videos and check out the previous 4 episodes that are very similar to these where we talk about other things. We will be back next week for episode 6. And that's going to be it for us.
And follow us on Twitch also.
Follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/mitsofting, MITSOFTING, and twitch.tv/RedSawQ4, REDSAWQ4.
Also, that's it for Steve Harvey, everybody.
That's it for Steve Harvey. Y'all have a great day. Made in Georgia.